What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day as always. Today we're going to be going brushless in the SCX24. So I went ahead and picked up the most budget-friendly brushless setup I could find, and that was the Injora Fat Viper. Now coming in at just $60, this thing is extremely budget-friendly. It's very cheap as far as brushless setups go. So today we're going to install it and see if it's worth it. So here we have the Injora brushless ESC as well as the brushless Fat Viper motor and some of the transmission we're going to need to put this together. So let's go ahead and unbox this. Let's pull out the ESC first and take a look at everything that comes in this. Let's see what this paper said that dropped out first. And it looks like we're going to just make sure throttle trim is set to 0 when we plug everything in. But here is the ESC. It's actually really nice looking and it's a lot smaller than their brushed ESC that we reviewed in our last video. Looks like it comes with a bunch of different connectors for the battery. I'm not sure if we're going to have a battery for this. We may have to cut and solder some connectors together. Then I'm assuming we use this USB-C connector thing to probably update and change some settings on the ESC itself. But let's go ahead and take a look at this ESC. We'll get it pulled all the way out of the packaging. Here's your on and off switch, pretty small. It'll be easy to get this set up in there. Now there's going to be a lot of wiring all over the place, but as far as the size of the ESC, the switch, and then the size of our receiver, it's going to be pretty easy to get this all fit into an SCX24. Wow, this packaging is a little bit tricky to get this thing out of, especially looking through the camera, but give me 1 second. All right, here we go. Finally got it out, and here we are with the ESC. It's actually really nice looking. It's definitely smaller than the brushed ESC that we reviewed in the last video, the MB100. If you guys haven't seen that video and you want to watch it, go ahead and check that out. I'll link it down below in the description for you guys to check out. I'll also link all these products down below in case you guys want to pick one up for yourself. I believe this whole setup was around $60, so really affordable for a brushless setup. Let's go ahead and open up the motor itself now. Now, I just went with whichever one was in stock. I plan on picking the other one up and comparing them. They do have two different variants. But this motor looks sweet. The purple looks amazing, and I'm really excited to see how this thing looks inside our SCX24 and just see how it performs. As far as looks go, this thing looks amazing. Let's go ahead and pull the rest out now. I believe this will be the transmission that we're going to need. Well, pretty much the housing to the transmission to adapt it to the stock SCX24. Then I believe all that's left will be a couple gears for the transmission and the motor, and then the hardware we're going to need to install this. Alright, so I've gone ahead and tossed everything together. It's super straightforward, and then if you guys did need a little bit of help getting this put together, you can check out the Injora short that they have on their YouTube channel. It shows you in about 20 seconds how to get this set up and install it, so I figured I would not include this in the video and show you guys a bunch of extra crap when we can just get straight to the testing. So now we're going to have to figure out how to fit all of this into our SCX24. So we're obviously going to be using some Velcro. I have some on there already. One issue if you are going to use this chassis is this cross member right here. You're going to have to pretty much either trim back, which I'm going to try first, or possibly remove altogether. Now you don't really need it, it's more for mounting purposes, but you're going to have to get rid of it. And then we're going to touch on the topic of batteries. So I didn't have a 3S battery with the right connector, so I'm going to be using the factory 2S battery that comes with this. I went ahead and cut the connector, soldered on the appropriate one, and we're going to test this with 2S. Now, it does say online that it's recommended to use 3S for the maximum torque. We don't have a 3S battery, and it would take a few days to get one here. So for now, we're going to be running the 2S, and I've seen a few other people run 2S. I think it'll be more than sufficient. So like I said, we're going to try to Dremel out this cross member, and if that does not work, we're just going to go ahead and remove it all together. So I'll see you back at the workbench. Alright, so unfortunately we couldn't really trim it back, it just got too thin, so I went ahead and just removed it all together. So we did lose a little bit of mounting space for the switch or anything like that, but the motor fits now, so I guess it's problem solved. Now we're going to go ahead and get everything else set up here. I've gone ahead, plugged the ESC in, I've plugged the receiver in. The wire definitely needs some wire management, but we're going to toss the battery on top and just see how this thing goes, see how slow we can go, see how smooth it is. This thing is silent, and this thing is crawling very slow. This thing is actually fairly impressive, especially for $60. Now obviously this is not going to be a great representation of how good this motor is, so let's head down to my crawler course and take a look at what this thing can do when we get it on some real obstacles. Alright, for starters, we'll test it on the big hill first, just like always. We're going to take this a little bit slow and see what it can do. See if we can kind of get it bound up a little bit and maybe stuck. Kind of looks like it has no issues, and we're going pretty slow here. So far, so good. This thing's crawling with ease, and I'm actually still pretty amazed by how silent this is. Now, this is my first brushless motor, but this thing is very quiet compared to the brushed stock motor that comes in these things. Now let's go ahead and give the bridge with all the flex rocks a try. Obviously, this should be pretty easy, but it'll make us kind of get a good idea if we can put stable throttle in, not have to adjust it, and if it'll just crawl. As expected, this thing crawled with ease and it didn't really get bound up at all, and that was constant throttle input the whole time. So now let's try a little bit harder line down here. This is a little steeper, a little slicker, and we'll see if we can make it up here. Now this is kind of less of a test of the motor and more of a test of the tires, but just a fun little obstacle to hit. So far, for $60 though, this thing is very impressive, and it definitely is a huge upgrade over the brushed motor or even some of the aftermarket brushed motors. This is definitely the way to go if you can afford the $60 option. Obviously, it's not for everybody, but I will say, as far as the mods I've done to an SCX24, besides wheels and tires and adding weight down low, this one's huge. This one actually helps a ton. Let's go ahead and try a little bit of a harder line here. This one obviously is kind of difficult, and we don't really make it up with many of the rigs, especially not one that I still have to take the springs out of the shocks, but we'll give it a try. Get a little bit of side hill action here to probably lift that front tire. I really need to take the springs out of this setup. Now, I have the springs in there because we usually run a 3D printed body on this, so it's a bit heavier, it sits a bit lower, but with this Lexan body, it really wants to lift tires. Crawl slowly and get it up top. There we go. So made it with ease. So let's head back up to the desk and give you guys my final opinions on the setup. All right, so for the price, I think it's a really good deal. It works really, really well so far. I'm filming the end of this video about 2 weeks after I filmed the beginning of this video, just so I had time to test it, get everything figured out, and make sure it's going to work long term. So 2 weeks later, I'm still happy with it, and I definitely think it's worth the $60. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you guys have any video ideas you would like to see, go ahead and comment them down below, and I'll do my best to get them to be made. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.